Now we've got Mike Linton. Mike is CMO of Farmers Insurance. In fact, Mike, come on up and we'll have a little chat. We had a great conversation last night at our DPAA board, and we got a little music to get you coming up, Mike. Coming up, I'll walk up with you. We had a great conversation last night with our speakers at our VIP speaker dinner with the board, and a lot of it was about the issues of media and about marketing and connecting, and it turned into a vibrant discussion.
It was fun. It was fun. And I know what you've all been waiting for in the audience. I cannot wait for the insurance guy to talk.
No.
I mean, who wants to talk about that other stuff when you can talk about insurance?
If you've seen insurance commercials from farmers, you know it's going to be entertaining. Go ahead.
So actually, I'm going to take a little different tack. You're going to see all the cool stuff, the cutting edge stuff, everything that's going on in the whole world. And I'm going to show you what we think is some of our cool stuff. But I thought what I would talk about today, and with Barry's blessing, by the way, is like as a CMO, how do you get your company to move to the new stuff? Because it's one thing to see all the new stuff and to want to go to the new stuff, but how do you get them to go to the new stuff? It's not like you just come in and go, hey, yeah, we're going to go do all the new stuff. And this is kind of my third bite at the CMO Apple. I was the CMO of Best Buy and then also of eBay and now Farmers. And you know, all those companies have pretty strong cultures, and they are grooved into doing things that they do. So going to the newest thing or going to the edge of the market is not always something that companies are saying, yeah, let's just go do all this new stuff. So I thought what I'd do is take you through kind of some lessons that I've learned and some things that have worked for me, if that works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, well, okay, we're still doing it anyways. So here we go. So just a little background on Farmers. It's a 90-year-old brand. Sells about $20 billion worth of stuff. There's 14,000 exclusive agents. And why those agents only sell Farmers products, they are independent business people. So they get a lot of leeway to accept or not accept things. We sell a lot of stuff. We handle almost 3 million claims annually. Kind of when we really started on our kind of marketing journey 6 years ago, the CEO said, hey, we need to kind of change some stuff here. And I thought I'd take you through the farmer story to illustrate a couple of things that have kind of worked for us, and I will show some film. So kind of the thing that we have used, and I have always used to make this whole thing work is, there's the marketing you see and the marketing that you don't. And we run all the marketing, but we also run all the digital stuff in the company and all the comms. And there's the cool stuff everybody sees. They see the commercials, they see what you do digitally, they see your homepage, they see some other stuff. What they don't see is what's below the water. And I like to use the iceberg analogy. We spent a huge amount of time building out what is below the water. So we started with a big consumer segmentation study, a whole bunch of research. We tested a lot of stuff because our goal was to actually decide what's really going on with our customers and the market. It's a highly competitive industry, over $6 billion spent annually. So it's a brutal marketing fight being fought pretty much on every front. And our goal is build the bottom of the data as much as possible, get the teams trading the data as quickly as possible, and also free the money to where it goes to do the most good. And that then, in the end, at least in theory, produces the iceberg that is bigger. And then people can see the top of the iceberg. My thing is, if you start at the top, you don't have that much currency in the company. Also, the other thing I would say, below the water, the ability to tie your numbers to the company financials and for your team to understand how the company makes money allows for your marketers to be a lot more impactful in the company. So one of the key things that come out of the data was a evolution to our brand strategy. We have agents out there. We also are, in general, are going to be slightly on the premium side versus some other brands. So our story, it's not going to be about price. It's going to be about value. And we call it the SMART strategy. Every time you touch the brand, you come away smarter about insurance. And we actually, through the research and through a bunch of other testing, found the 3 pillars of SMART. You can see them up there: proactive, straightforward, knowledgeable. Mike, why are you telling me this? I'm telling you this because when you see the creative, which I'm going to show you next, kind of those are the pillars that we look for in the creative. And we start at the top end of the creative, obviously, and we work our way all the way down the funnel to those local agents where we are giving them tools so that they can be proactive, straightforward, and knowledgeable when they are interacting with customers both digitally and in person. So we have a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to show you a bunch of film. One, because it's part of the story, and two, because I like it. But so if we could roll the film, look for the kind of smart story, and beneath this, there's two kind of underlying fears that the consumers we want have. The first is, man, I am not covered. Am I covered for that? I have to think about insurance. Everyone thinks they really know, but when you actually press on them a little bit, they don't. And the second is, did I overpay? And so this is based on a bunch of consumer insights, but let's roll the first two spots.
At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything, even a red-hot mascot.
Hey, you're on fire! You bet I am.
Dude, you're on fire!
Oh, yeah!
No, you're on fire! Look behind you!
I'm cool.
That's one way to fire up the crowd. But we covered it. Talk to Farmers. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Billy Goat Ruffians. Seen it, covered it. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
So, thank you. So before we get into that, we insource these for all the claims people and all the agents. We have a contest about every 8 months. It takes us about 6 to 9 months to figure out what we're going to shoot and how we do it. But it's all insourced. It's all claims we paid. And then our great ad agency, RPA, takes liberties with the claims to make them more interesting. And copy meetings are, I'm just going to say it, hilarious. And then Zenith, our media agency, puts this all in the right place. I will share then the next slide, please. We're messing around at the front end of 6-second spots for a whole bunch of reasons, which I'm sure everybody here knows. So let's just take a look at one of our latest 6-second spots.
We are farmers.
Who said insurance is boring? So what we like to, we know the jingle has grooved in. We also know a lot of, JK is our Professor Burke has been really great to work with. A lot of people want to work on the advertising, a lot of creatives want to write. So we get a lot of stuff done that way. We've also carried this down the funnel into a lot of digital space where we do things that are, in our mind, culturally relevant and timely, and then we will go blast it out digitally, really. And I'll show you stuff that just ran called Stranger Claims. It's actually running now, but we started it on Friday the 13th. So if you could run just 2 of those spots, that would be great.
Welcome to the Hall of Claims' darkest corner. Final resting place of our strangest tales of misfortune. However shocking these events may seem, they were in fact real insurance claims. At Farmers, we've seen almost everything, so we know how to cover almost anything. Even things you might not believe. Prepare to experience the Stranger Claims. There'd always been unsettling stories about that part of the forest, but the old farmer who built his barn there never put much stock in folk tales. That is, until the night of the storm. The wind scoured the walls of his home. He went to the window just as one of the giant old sycamores, pulled up by the roots, crashed down into the side of the barn. The tempest threw another tree even bigger than the first. It slammed into the ground, engulfing the barn in a whirlwind of splinters, and then the final tree hit nearby. A freak weather event, or the price of trespassing on hallowed ground? Revenge of the Sycamores, covered June 23rd, 2015.
So you can see we work this all the way down the funnel, and we try and synchronize it all. I will also say we measure absolutely everything we can, and we share it with the company. That way, when we do stuff, the company follows on or not. And we want to have any arguments we're going to have with the company before we get it to the market. And that has worked really well for us. And also, we're the first one to take it off air or stop doing it if it's not working. And that has allowed the company to give us a tremendous amount of leeway on what we do creatively, also on the media front. I wanted to move to the logo evolution. You can see the old logo. I hope you can tell which one is the old logo. And you can see the new logo. I guess the story behind this is this was a tough change in the company because those 14,000 agents had to pay for it out of their pockets. And the logo had not been changed for 50 years. The way we got the company to change the logo was we only let consumers vote. So this is all research-based testing. And we pitched it up to the company. If the new logo doesn't win, we won't change it. But if it does win, you'll follow on with the consumer idea. So I never voted. The CEO never voted. Actually, nobody in the company got to vote. And we did get the logo changed. I think the thing was, there was a lot of resistance to that in the beginning. After the consumer got brought in, and we took our time on this, it took almost a year to really lay pipe to get 14,000 people agree to do this. That was sharing the situation, showing the data, and then letting the data come in. So we would unveil the data as it came in, almost in real time to the company, so that when the new logo won, by a lot, the company was ready to follow on. We did one other thing that we thought was good. When we introduced this in front of 4,000 agents at the time, we let the agents introduce it, not marketing. Because in our mind, we're the kind of pushers of the right thing to do, but we're not the owners. The company, in the end, is the owner. The last thing I will talk about is digital. 6 years ago, we had really 14 different websites, and we weren't measured really in ComScore except in the all other. So we actually rebooted digital completely, smashed everything together into one lead team. And it's all digital. It's not just the digital marketing. It's actually the site for the company. And launched a new mobile effort as well. The thing we did is we explained to the company how this was going to go over a 4-year plan. We started at a -31 transactional net promoter score. That's bad. That's really bad. You know, now we're up in the 40s range. We shared all these measures with the company, and here's how we got capped. We said, if we're going to move transactional net promoter, which is the customer experience, and we'll take cap once a year. If we don't move the number like we said, don't give us cap next year. And then the first year we had a race to zero. And we published it every month, we're racing to zero. And things have turned around really well. We also kind of led the charge in the master data mart and started a lot of policy self-service. But I think the thing that allowed the company to run with us on this was we used up a lot of capital, but the company got to see the score. And we set up the game before we reported the score. So, and that allowed everyone to kind of move to this, because this was a pretty big change for the company. And the company was great about it, by the way. So in close, I guess what I will say is there's a couple things that have worked really well for us from a marketing perspective. The first is there's one team for marketing and one budget, but shared measures. And so that goes a lot to me for comp. My lead team is comped a lot by how all of marketing and all the company does, not by function. Because I don't want the brand person saying, well, I killed it, and then have the agency marketing person saying, oh, no, I killed it. We win or we lose. This actually carries over together. This actually carries over to IT on digital, which is IT and the marketing team co-locate a lot. And they're paid, a large part of their pay is the same. So there isn't any argument of, you gave me a really bad, RFP, or you didn't do the statement of work right, or no, the marketing guys dropped the ball. It is the consumer didn't get it, everyone eats it. So it fosters a different dynamic that has been well received. In my mind, also, the marketplace data is the most important data, and then the consumer data is the most important part of the marketing data, because that's really how you're getting voted on. And so I'll give you an example of how that works. When IT and the digital marketing team get together, they are not debating each other's work. The first thing they look at is transactional net promoter score and what's going on with the customers. And that allows for a much different dialogue and actually much faster movement. The fourth bullet point there is, I don't want my team arguing over which function should get the most money. I want them arguing over which idea should get money, and that is based on what it does for the company and what it does for the customer. If I pay them wrong, they almost have to argue for the money to do the most good in their function. If I pay them collectively, or at least partially collectively, they're arguing. You're always going to get, as a marketer, 100 ideas and money for 10. I want the team having a lot of that argument ahead of things, and to be debating it collectively. Because in a CMO function, you got a ton of one-of-ones. Each of your folks is their only one. They run the brand, they run digital, they run the events, they run whatever, but they're one of one. So my goal is to make them want to talk as much as possible, and that's how we pay. And information goes as fast as possible across the whole team. And then the last thing is we consider our agencies and IT in particular part of the team. They can come to events, they can come to all hands, they're part of staff. Because we want them as up to speed and going as fast as we can possibly go. And that helps, in my mind, move the company to the new thing. So I hope you found that helpful. We have 8 seconds for Q&A. So I'm gonna end the Q&A. Thank you for all those great questions. You are fabulous.
I'm going to give you one Q and then a little bit of A. Mike. Great presentation, fabulous.
Thanks, Barry.
Who said insurance was going to be boring? Give him a hand. Isn't that terrific? Fabulous. Part of the success is comedy, and comedy is tough, but you guys nail it. You say that you actually do a lot of testing once the media runs, and you pull stuff that doesn't work, and you evidently optimize what does work. What's the process in creating and testing it before it airs? Because comedy is tough to work, and you guys nail it all the time.
Well, thanks.
I
only show the good stuff.
Oh, okay.
So here's how we do creative. There's a time for math to lead and a time for creative to lead. In this, when we are developing this, creative's in charge. The math will follow on after we shoot the creative. We tried to take out all the steps in the creative process, so when our PA comes in, they come in with paragraphs, like 10 to 15 paragraphs, that's it, before they've invested a lot in all the boards and the digital and all the ideas. And then we debate everybody. It's not just the low level working its way up. We all have a straight debate with the creatives. Which of these do you like? What's the trade-offs? How do you think this plays out? What are you going to work? And then we'll pick 3 or 4 to write on. But it's really the whole team going as fast as it can in little pieces. We do not want the thing where it's sell buy at every level. Like the brand manager buys it, and then the director buys it, and then finally the CMO buys it. No. We're going to all design it together. It took about 1.5 years to get that right, but now it works really fast. But in the beginning, the creatives are in charge with help from the team.
And you do focus groups?
We don't do focus groups till we get kind of far down the road, and then the math wins out after we air it.
Okay.
But then the creative responsibility is understand the math. Don't argue that the math is
And
wrong.
you even got the 6 seconds nailed as well. I mean, to do that is great.
Yeah, that's just a team figure.
Oh, that was great.
You know, they shot that, and then they said, "Hey, look what we shot." They didn't even tell me about it. So yeah, that's
my
great.
favorite's the
awesome.
moose. I love the
I
moose.
like the moose.
By the way, Mike is also on the board of Ground Truth, the great location data and board member of DPAA. So I want to thank you, and I'm going to give you the outro now.
Okay, great. Does that mean I leave?
Well, after I do the beats. Mike Linton, bum, ba, dum, ba, bum, 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 ba, ba, bum. Okay,
thank you.